Okay, imagine this. A new visitor. Um, Not just any visitor, though. A real enigma,
Yeah.
a voyager from way out beyond our solar system. We're talking about an object our sources are calling 3 Atlas.
hmm
Now, if you've been following the whole interstellar object, or ISO, conversation, you know these things are super rare. Cosmic travelers from other star systems, just, well, passing through our cosmic neighborhood.
That's right. Very
We've
rare.
only actually confirmed 2 so far. There was one Oumuamua, the really mysterious one, and then 2 Borisov, which looked much more like a regular comet.
Yeah, much more familiar.
But this 3 Atlas, it could be a really crucial third one. And its very existence, even hypothetically, is sparking some truly extraordinary claims.
Absolutely. The implications are huge.
So our mission today is to really dive deep into this hypothetical 3 Atlas. We'll use everything we've learned from Oumuamua and Borisov as a lens. And we're specifically going to zero in on these discussions around its potential, well, technological nature and intelligent control. Big stuff.
It really is. It captures the imagination, doesn't it? Both scientifically and, for the public.
Definitely. But it also comes with this incredibly high burden of proof.
Right. Exceptionally high. You can't just jump to conclusions.
Exactly. It's quite the cosmic puzzle, and we're going to try and piece it together for you. Okay, so let's start with the basics. What even is a 3I object, according to these sources?
Well, that 3I prefix is key.
Right.
It immediately tells you the object is classified as interstellar. Basically, its path, its trajectory through space is hyperbolic,
Hyperbolic meaning?
meaning it's moving too fast to be captured by our sun's gravity. Think of it like a cosmic slingshot. It swings by the sun, and then it's gone for good, never coming back.
Ah, okay. So that path proves it's not from around here. It's truly from out there, beyond our solar system.
Precisely. And that really highlights how rare and, frankly, time-sensitive these observations are.
Yeah, you said only 2 confirmed so far.
Exactly. And they're usually only visible for, a few weeks, maybe a couple of months at best.
Wow. So any data we'd get on something like 3 Atlas would be incredibly hard-won, just a fleeting glimpse.
Incredibly hard one. And that's exactly why these objects are so profoundly important, scientifically speaking.
Because they're samples from other star systems.
Pretty much. They offer us this unprecedented chance to get insights into how planets form elsewhere. What kind of materials get ejected from other young solar systems.
Like little messengers from across the galaxy.
In a way, yes. They tell us about the diversity of stuff out there, and of course they tie into the bigger search for, biosignatures or maybe even technosignatures.
So a third one, like 3 Atlas, would be a really big deal statistically.
Oh, absolutely vital. A third data point helps enormously, but studying it requires intense effort. You need rapid response observations, really meticulous characterization size, shape, what it's made of, and incredibly precise orbital tracking.
And then adding that whole technological nature question on top.
That just elevates the standard of evidence astronomically higher. You need extraordinary proof for such an extraordinary claim.
Okay, so let's imagine 3 Atlas does appear. What's the first thing astronomers would actually see? What would they measure?
Well, the first things would be basic physical properties. Its brightness, for instance, what we call apparent magnitude. How bright does it look from Earth?
Right.
Then, critically, its light curve. That's how its brightness changes over time as it tumbles or rotates. That gives us clues about its spin and maybe its overall shape.
Right, like with the first 2, Borisov was sort of normal comet brightness.
More or less, yeah. But Oumuamua, that showed these wild swings in brightness, really extreme variations.
Which led to the whole cigar-like or pancake-like shape idea, right?
Exactly. Very elongated or perhaps very flat. So imagine if 3 Atlas showed up with, say, an unusually stable light curve, or one that was perfectly periodic like clockwork.
That would definitely make you stop and think, wouldn't it? What would you conclude if you saw that? Seems unnatural.
It would certainly be peculiar. Another critical observation is cometary activity. Does it have a coma, that fuzzy gas cloud around it, and maybe a tail?
Like Borisov did.
Yes. Borisov's coma and tail were clear giveaways. Definitive evidence of natural cometary origin, driven by ices turning into gas as it neared the sun.
So,
That's a strong sign it's natural.
there's a catch.
There's often a catch. The problem is a really dense coma can actually hide the nucleus, the solid body inside.
Ah, so it could obscure what we're looking for.
It could potentially mask Subtle artificial features, yeah. Or even just make it hard to determine the true shape and size. It really highlights the limits of looking from so far away.
Makes sense.
What
What else? Composition.
Spectroscopy, absolutely crucial. We analyze the light coming from it or reflecting off it to figure out its chemical makeup.
So you're looking for what?
Oh,
Watts. Wrong.
you look for signatures we expect from comets, water, carbon compounds like CN, C2, stuff we saw with Borisov, versus, something really anomalous, unusual molecules, or maybe even signs of processed metals, specific alloys, things that just don't occur naturally in those forms.
Okay, so it's looks, it's composition.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the real controversies often come from how these things move.
That's often where the most intense debate happens, yes. Which brings us to that key indicator, non-gravitational acceleration. NGA.
Right, the Oumuamua thing. Its NGA couldn't easily be explained by normal comet stuff, like water ice outgassing. That really kicked off the speculation, didn't it?
It absolutely did, because Borisov's NGA, on the other hand, was perfectly consistent with water ice sublimation.
So NGA is basically like a little rocket engine effect from ice turning to gas.
Essentially, yes. A very gentle, continuous thrust, usually directed away from the sun as the object heats up.
Okay, so picture this scenario then.
Right.
What if 3 Atlas showed up, and it had NGA, but it was pointed towards the sun, or sideways, totally perpendicular to its path, or maybe it just changed wildly, unpredictably?
That would be profoundly anomalous. It would defy our current understanding of how natural outgassing works. That kind of directed or variable thrust is not something we expect from ice.
So that's where the intelligent control idea might start to gain traction.
That's where the need for extraordinary evidence meets an extraordinary observation. But, and this is critical, the scientific community always prioritizes natural explanations first, even really exotic ones.
Like with Oumuamua, they suggested maybe weird ices, right? Hydrogen or nitrogen.
Exactly. They explored highly volatile stuff like solid hydrogen or solid nitrogen ice sublimating, things that could potentially cause acceleration without a big visible coma. It's a stretch, perhaps, but still within the realm of natural, even if exotic, physics.
So artificial propulsion only comes into play if you rule everything else out.
Rigorously and definitively rule it out, and the Oumuamua case showed just how incredibly difficult that is. Ruling out every possible natural explanation, even for something as weird as Oumuamua, is a huge challenge. That burden of proof is just immense.
Okay. Beyond movement, are there other, maybe less traumatic, unexplained phenomena we'd look for?
Sure. Things like its albedo, how reflective it is. Is it way too dark, absorbing almost all light? Or maybe unnaturally bright or shiny compared to typical asteroids or comets?
Interesting. What?
Well, maybe a complete lack of any dust or coma, even after passing really close to the sun. That was part of Oumuamua's initial puzzle, too. It looked quite inert, despite its close pass.
But the real smoking gun, the thing that would change everything.
Would be signals, radio or light signals. If 3 Atlas started emitting coherent narrowband signals, well, that's the ballgame, isn't it? That would be the most direct, compelling evidence you could ask for.
Hard to argue with that.
Extremely hard. But let's be clear about how high that bar is for declaring something artificial. We're looking for very specific indicators, things that really defy natural explanation.
Like what, specifically?
Okay, first, unusual geometry or morphology. And I don't just mean elongated like a Moore. I mean a perfectly geometric shape. A flawless sphere, a precise cube, a flat disk with sharp edges. Or maybe an unnaturally smooth, polished surface. Something fundamentally defiant of natural formation or erosion processes.
Not just weirdly shaped, but manufactured looking.
Exactly. Second, extreme density or structural integrity. Maybe it's way denser than it should be for its size and likely composition, or it survives intense gravitational stress near the sun without breaking apart when it maybe should have.
Okay.
Third, non-natural composition. Finding materials that simply don't form in nature, or finding elements like pure refined metals, or very specific complex alloys in proportions that just don't make sense astrophysically.
Right. No natural process makes pure titanium sheets.
Pretty much. Fourth, an internal heat signature or power source. Detecting heat that can't be explained by solar warming alone, suggesting active machinery or propulsion systems inside.
And fifth, the signals we mentioned.
Yes. Artificial signals, coherent radio waves, narrowband transmissions, pulsed lasers, unambiguous pattern signals. But even with any of these, Occam's razor still applies.
The simplest explanation is usually the best.
Scientists will exhaust every plausible, even exotic, natural explanation first. Like, could extreme magnetic fields create weird radio bursts? Could some unknown chemical reaction produce that heat signature? Artificiality is really the explanation of last resort.
So let's push that further. If we did suspect intelligent control beyond just its basic nature, how would that actually look in terms of its behavior?
We'd be looking for deliberate active maneuvers. Things like significant changes in its trajectory that aren't related to just swinging by the sun. Maybe it suddenly breaks or changes course to aim for a specific planet.
Or even enters orbit, or tries to rendezvous with something.
Exactly. Those kinds of targeted moves would strongly suggest non-ballistic controlled flight. But here's the thing.
Physics.
Physics. Making those kinds of significant maneuvers cost a lot of energy. Changing velocity in space isn't trivial.
So you'd expect to see evidence of that energy use.
You'd almost certainly expect detectable signatures. Waste heat, exhaust plumes, something indicating a powerful propulsion system at work. It's hard to imagine doing that kind of orbital mechanics stealthily on a large scale.
And detecting those signals, or even the propulsion signatures, runs into other problems, right?
It does, especially the signals part. SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, has really strict protocols for a reason.
False alarms.
Lots of potential false alarms from Earth-based interference or even natural cosmic sources that can mimic signals. That's why they demand independent confirmation, repeatability, persistence. A signal needs to be seen by different telescopes at different times and be clearly non-natural.
Which is tough for an object that's just flying by for a few weeks.
Extremely tough. An ISO like 3 Atlas gives you such a short observational window. Getting independent verification of some fleeting, maybe ambiguous signal before the object disappears, that would be incredibly difficult, perhaps impossible.
So we could end up with a tantalizing hint, but no proof.
That's a very real possibility. It could lead to decades of debate with no firm conclusion. Frustrating, but that's the reality of the scientific method when data is limited.
Okay, let's flip back to the other side, the natural explanations. What are the strongest arguments against 3 Atlas being artificial, assuming it shows some weirdness?
Well, the most straightforward counterargument is if it does show clear cometary activity. A nice coma, a tail, spectroscopy showing typical comet volatiles like water ice, CO, CO2.
Like Borisov. Case closed, pretty much.
That would be very strong evidence for a natural origin, yes. But even if the activity is a bit weird, say, it becomes active really far from the sun. Science has ways to explain that naturally.
How so?
Maybe it's just made of more volatile stuff than typical comets from our solar system. More carbon monoxide or dioxide ice, which turns to gas much farther out where it's colder. Or perhaps its spin and shape lead to complex jetting patterns that look unusual from afar. Nature is inventive.
And what about that NGA problem, like with Oumuamua?
As we discussed, even that have plausible, though maybe exotic, natural explanations now. The idea of hydrogen ice or nitrogen ice sublimating can potentially account for thrust without a visible water-based coma. It forced us to think outside the box about what comets could be.
So Oumuamua actually helped expand the definition of natural.
In a big way. Same for the shape. That extreme elongation. We now think that can happen naturally if an object gets tidally disrupted, basically stretched and pulled apart during a close flyby of its parent star, or maybe through collisions. Irregular tumbling, also totally normal for asteroids and comets.
And weird chemistry.
Could just reflect where it came from. The galaxy is huge. Star systems form under different conditions with different chemical mixes. Finding unusual abundances might just mean it came from a part of the galaxy chemically different from our own neighborhood. It's a sample of alien geology, not necessarily alien technology.
And the lack of signals.
Well, the fact that we haven't detected any clear, unambiguous artificial signals from space at all, despite decades of searching, that's the most probable outcome for any single object too, right? It aligns with the Fermi paradox. If intelligent life is common, where is everybody? The silence itself is a data point.
So, boiling it down, the most compelling argument against 3 Atlas being artificial is simply the lack of proof.
It's the fundamental absence of unambiguous, repeatable, independently verifiable technosignatures. That's the gold standard.
And we always come back to that principle of parsimony, or Occam's razor.
Exactly. The simplest explanation that fits all the facts is usually the best starting point. And the universe, as we keep discovering, is incredibly good at producing bizarre, unexpected natural phenomena. We shouldn't underestimate nature's creativity.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And what's really fascinating, connecting this to the bigger picture, is how discoveries like Oumuamua are actively pushing the boundaries of what we even consider natural.
Right, you said it forced scientists to consider hydrogen ice comets, extreme shapes.
things we hadn't really factored in before. So the threshold for something being truly unnatural, truly artificial, keeps getting higher as our understanding of natural astrophysics gets deeper and broader.
Which makes the whole technological nature hypothesis even harder to prove.
It requires even more extraordinary, truly irrefutable evidence to overcome the ever-expanding possibilities of natural explanations.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Summing up our deep dive today. Based on everything we know now, the science, the data from Oumuamua and Borisov, this hypothetical 3 atlas is, well, most plausibly just another natural interstellar object, right? Probably a comet or an asteroid fragment from another star.
That would be the most conservative, evidence-based interpretation at this point, yes.
And while the universe is vast and who knows what's out there, the actual evidence suggesting 3 atlas is technological risk, remains purely speculative without those concrete, unambiguous techno-signatures we talked about.
Correct. Speculation is fun and important for driving questions, but it isn't evidence itself.
But regardless of whether it's natural or artificial, the scientific opportunity these ISOs represent is just immense, isn't it?
Absolutely massive. Each one is a priceless sample of another solar system.
So what does all this mean for you listening in? Well, the very fact that these interstellar objects exist and we can now detect them is, frankly, a profound discovery all by itself. It's giving us direct glimpses into galactic ecology, how planets form elsewhere, stuff we could only guess at before.
Yeah, and maybe a final thought to leave you with. It raises an important question, doesn't it? Given how much our understanding of what's natural had to stretch with just 2 confirmed ISOs, what if the universe is capable of producing natural things that are even weirder, even more exotic than we can currently conceive?
Pushing the boundaries even further.
Or, looking at it another way, even if these objects are entirely natural, how might studying these unique interstellar samples, these pieces of other star systems, fundamentally reshape our search for life? Could they tell us about the prevalence of the building blocks of life across the galaxy?
Lots to think about.
Definitely. It just stresses how vital it is that we keep looking, that we have rapid observation capabilities ready, and that we apply rigorous science to every single interstellar visitor that comes our way. Each one truly is a unique window into the great unknown.